What's up guys, Joker here. If you remember a few weeks ago we did an overview on my new PC build here for 2016, which I have codenamed as Black Mesa, being that it is going for an all black aesthetic in this build, which is something I've kind of been doing here on the channel for a while. I really do like the look of just an all black build. I think it looks really sleek, professional, and understated, and it just looks really good in my personal opinion. So to that effect, I did want to get in some all black cables. I had some white EVGA cables before. It was one of their pre-made cable sets, and I wasn't really too happy with those cables. They were kind of thin and they were tough to work with, so I didn't want to just go out and get black ones of the same. And I heard about Cable Mod because they actually do full cable sets as well, so you could just go and pick your power supply. So if you have like a Corsair or EVGA, whatever, and you can get a full set of cables, which is what I chose to do. I got the mod mesh type of cables, which is a PET based cable, so it's like nylon essentially. It doesn't have any heat shrink, so the cables look absolutely incredible and they feel great as well. And this comes, when you buy the kits like this, they come with really more than what you would possibly need to build. I have tons of excess cables that you're seeing here, but it comes, with everything you would need. You got a 24 pin, you've got two 4+4 pins for your CPU, you've got 4 of the 6+2 pins and two 6+2 with an extra 6 pin attached on there as well. SATA, Molex, everything you would need for this you get with that kit, along with some cable comes too, which I think really tied everything together on this build extremely well. If you don't want to get one of the pre-made kits, which they have available in a wide variety of colors, you can actually do the configurator as well if you want to get just PSU cables, or you can do custom extensions, and it's really great being able to customize them in here. You could pick the material if you want, so if you want paracord or nylon, you could pick those, and then you pick your power supply brand, and then which power supply you're actually using, and then you could customize everything after that from which cables you get, if you want to get just individual cables, as well as the length and the color of those cables based on the individual sleeves. So if you wanted to do like a Joker themed one, then you can do like purple and green colors if you wanted to do that on here, which could look really good. Or maybe your name is Linus Tech Tips and you just want to get all orange cables, then you could do that as well. So I think the cables on here came out extremely good. I'm very happy with the way the build is looking right now. If you guys have any suggestions for other things I could do in here, let me know down in the comments below. Based on the last video, I had gotten some feedback about the SSD that you could see in the side panel window, which I had flipped upside down so that the cable had a shorter route to the SATA connectors. But so that I could have the logo straight up the way that it's supposed to look, I then flipped the SSD around and I've got the cable running all the way around the back. I did have to use a different cable compared to the ones from Cable Mod because theirs were a little bit too short for that particular use, but actually on the rest of the SATA cables I'm using sleeved ones as well for the actual data, which they do sell on the Cable Mod website. Those don't come in the set. You have to buy those individually and separately from the sets, but they do have them there, and they're always something that I've wanted to use in one of my builds, having sleeved SATA cables. It's just a really nice finishing touch to throw on at the end of a really nice build like this, and I think it looks great. Another thing I did in here was I took out the white PCI slot covers. Previously they were white that came with the Enthoo Evolv case, so they kind of were clashing with the rest of the build, and I just decided to take those out and use some other black PCI covers that I had around. I was going to use the ones out of my Define R5 Blackout Edition, but I was missing one of the PCI slot covers that wouldn't have allowed me to fill up all of the slots, so I ended up using some from my old Thermaltake Chaser MK1, which kind of brings things full circle because that was actually the first piece of hardware that I ever looked at here on the channel a few years ago when I got that case for my build back, I think in 2012, with my 3570K and my GTX 680. Yeah, that was a good few years ago, and I remember that case very well. So it was kind of cool to be able to take those PCI slot covers and use them in this build here to just give it that all black aesthetic. Apart from the motherboard, of course, which does still have some white accents, which I may take off at some point. I saw someone had showed me on Twitter, actually, that they had taken them off of this exact same motherboard, so that's something I might do in the future. I'll also hesitantly show you guys the backside of my PC, although I've done what I could to try to, manage the cables back here, the spaghetti monster of cables and everything. Thankfully, you've got a basement down here in this case, which is covered up with a power supply cover from Phanteks, so you can kind of just mush things down there and not have to worry about anyone seeing them. I even got an extra SSD just thrown down there because I didn't have anywhere else to mount it. And obviously, tied everything down the best that I could possibly do to try to keep everything as neat as at least as neat as I could on the backside of a PC, and there was plenty of room here in this case to be able to close the door afterwards, which is always nice. So some people asked after the last video what kind of temperatures I was seeing on the i7-6800K, being that it is under that EK Predator 240. When I'm editing and rendering videos out and the videos, the CPU is running a complete 100% load, I've not seen my CPU go over 70 degrees with my overclock of 4.3 gigahertz. If I were to push it further than that, which I can, I do get a lot more heat, and I've actually seen it going up into like the high 80s, even on water, because if you want to get over like 4.3 gigahertz on this processor, you need to start getting like over 1.4 volts, and that just creates a lot of heat. Even though it's stable, it just creates a ton of heat without offering too much in terms of beneficial performance, at least to me. So I've chosen to keep it at 4.3 gigahertz, which helps reduce the temperatures drastically. And like I said, that's staying under 70 degrees, even when I'm rendering videos at 100% load. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. If you want any links for the parts that I'm using in my system, all of those are going to be down in the description below over to Amazon, which does help to support the channel. And I will catch you next time. Ta-ra.